everybody. It's Miss Katie from Gail Borden. Welcome to your library at home. Grown-ups, I would love if you could watch the interview with librarian Tish and Bernadette May from the Family Services Association of Elgin. Watch that interview and then come to the story time with your child, because we're going to be talking about ways for you and your family to cope during this difficult time, and some fun activities and books and things to do at home that can help you through this time.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm librarian Tish Calhamer from the Gail Borden Public Library. I'm Community Engagement Manager. And today I'm very happy to bring you this opportunity to talk to Executive Director of the Family Services Association, Bernadette May. Welcome, Bernie.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with the community about mental health during these challenging times.
And Family Service Association is a unique, long-lived agency. They were founded in 1931 as one of the public relief welfare agencies that sprung up all over the country during the Great Depression. But they withstood the test of time, and over 8 decades, now entering their 9th decade, they'll be 90 years old next year in 2021, FSA transitioned from being sort of a social welfare agency to providing behavioral health services. They are especially well known for their school-based therapy programs. Bernie, why don't you tell us about some of the challenges and some of the solutions that FSA is coming up with in light of the fact that kids are not in school right now? How are you retooling your services?
Yeah, so that program in particular is, as you said, is a school-based program. So typically we're inside the schools during the school day, providing services to kids during their free periods, and then we work with families outside of the school after hours. So it does require some creative solutions. So a lot of our services are being provided at this point through telehealth, kind of like this conversation that you and I are having right now. They'll meet with families over Zoom, or there's this platform called doxy.me that we use, or there's a couple others that our different service providers are utilizing as well. And then we're still trying to create an environment that helps kids to feel comfortable and relaxed and welcome through that. So we're still utilizing play through some of those things, or working with kids. Like Zoom has a cool feature where there's a whiteboard, and we'll bring that up and we'll work with kids via a whiteboard and do some art type work with that. So we've done some of that, and we've done some face-to-face work with that program as well still.
And are you finding that children and families are becoming used to the Zoom platform, or everything else? Everybody's managing the technology?
It takes some adjusting. So initially we've had some families or kids who are like kind of uncomfortable with it. And so we've done some like just turn on the camera for 5 minutes and help yourself feel more comfortable with it. Or
We had trouble logging on to meetings, early in our work from home phase.
Yeah, right. Exactly. When we were all awkward and like, how does this go and who talks when? And so it's a little of that same thing. Yeah. Remember you're seen and heard, and and there's the random noise from the background that happens with families that are going in with that too. So that sense of privacy that sometimes you would have, we're having to help families to be able to create that as well, amongst siblings or between even parents and kids and time. So there's definitely like having to set up space. You have to think really hard about how do you set up, like a therapist often thinks about how they set up space. And so in doing that in somebody else's home when you're not there is particularly challenging, but we'll talk to kids about, like if you're going to go to your room, then shut your door and find yourself in a comfortable position, and doing some of that. So
tell us about some of the anxieties or issues that children and their families are facing these days. Do you see it as being any different from what kids had to cope with in the past, or is this different?
It is a little different. So particularly when you look at like our school programs, or even our crisis-based program that we have, that sometimes the home environment is not always the safest place for people to be in. So there's a little of
shelter at home.
Right. And
Yeah,
so now you're at home with people who sometimes there's tensions um and sometimes they're not even safe environments. We've heard that there's a rise of domestic violence calls with the police departments. There's a little of that as well when you look at child abuse situations, and this is National Child Abuse Prevention Awareness
how are
Month.
you addressing?
And so and everybody feels tension right now, right? There's a lot of uncertainty that's going on in the world. People don't know if they're going to have jobs to go back to when this is all done. They're worried about loved ones. Isolation is hard for most people. So finding yourself in a more isolated circumstance and then potentially having that with people who there's some tension in the first place. So there's a lot of negotiating relationship issues right now. Managing anxiety, there's way different levels of anxiety with different people. And then some people are just like, they're happier now than they ever have been, right? Because sometimes social situations are awkward for some people. So there's a wide range of
And you
how
can
different
catch up on your shows.
yeah, right. And never get out of your PJs. Like
Yeah.
some people really enjoy that.
I did clean up today though for you.
Me too.
Yeah. Now, how do children typically cope with anxiety and other mental health challenges, situational challenges, as opposed to adults? And maybe describe a healthy child and a healthy adult versus a child or an adult where the ability to cope has been, compromised by trauma, and then now we're facing this global pandemic on a local level. What does that do to a child?
Yeah. So oftentimes in small kids, in particular, how anxiety shows up is mood dysregulation. So they're kind of all over the place. So it's
What does
that
mood
like,
dysregulation mean?
yeah, it's kind of that like all over the placeness, right? That like, 1 minute they're happy, 1 minute they're sad, one
Oh,
minute
I
they're
see.
screaming, 1 minute they're, like, then they're just playing and seem perfectly fine. And so parents are like, whoa, what's going on with you? Because that's not
Mhm.
how adults generally respond to stress and anxiety. Adults might retreat from people, or they might be more angry than normal, or they might be, just feeling that tension and anxiety and be exhausted, right? They might sleep more, or, but it tends to be just one stasis point for adults versus with kids, they just kind of end up being so all over the place. And parents are like, what's wrong with you? Because it's hard to manage then when you
Mhm.
look at that and you're like, well, I don't know if you're happy and I don't know if you're sad and I don't know what you are. But a lot of times that is anxiety that kids are experiencing, but they don't have the tolerance for emotions that adults do. So it's
Mhm.
kind of short lived where they stay in that uncomfortable position and then they try to make themselves feel better. And then they'll bounce back to not feeling, then they'll bounce back to feeling that stress again. And so it shows up in that same kind of angry or tension kind of way.
And would it help parents to know that that's perfectly normal, that their kids might be all over the place at this time?
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
it's okay to have tolerance for those types of behaviors and just say, like, hey, I know these are hard times. Like, your life is kind of flipped upside down, just like ours is and everybody else's. And I think those sense of grief and loss are
Mhm.
real for lots of people right now. So when we look at that, and I feel like there's a lot of toxic positivity that gets put out into the social media world. Like, all you have to do is stay at home on your couch. People and our ancestors were hiding from the Nazis or whatever, right? There's these examples of extreme things that happen, but there's a lot of losses that exist with this in today's environment. Like, if you're a high schooler and you don't think you're going to have your high school graduation or your prom,
Mhm.
like, those are big losses if you're a
Right. Yeah.
teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if you're a kid and you're used to seeing your friends at school every day, and now you don't, and you're missing those like end of the year classroom parties, and those things
Mhm.
are important to young people. And I think as an adult, you're like, no big deal, right? Like, you'll get over it. And but it is a big deal to them.
Mhm. So
and
we should
and
acknowledge the value of the things that they're losing.
right. And
Yeah.
so I think validating those feelings is important.
Mhm.
Being like, yeah, I get it. That's sad. And I understand it's sad. Could we do something here to help with that?
What are some things that kids can do to self-soothe or to cope with these situations, and what are some things that adults can do? You already mentioned validating their feelings. That's very important.
Yes. So there are some of the things that I think you'll hear a lot of like standard conversations about, and I don't disagree that those things are good, like taking deep breathing or meditation, yoga, mindfulness. Any of those types of practices are helpful. Keep in mind that they're helpful for people typically who don't struggle with anxiety and depression on a regular basis. They're more helpful for them than they are for people who already had existing diagnoses of depression and anxiety. And for folks who are already coping with depression and anxiety, they tend to have to amp up those coping skills a little bit more.
What can they
So
do then?
routine is big. So
Okay, routine.
I try to encourage people, especially adults for kids, but it's also healthy for the adults to maintain some level of routine and consistency in your household. So always having breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the same time, or everybody gets, like
I can
showers.
barely manage that.
Yeah, I know. Plan and all the time,
shower.
Right? All the time. So
Yeah.
and just those kind of sense of routine that you can bring back. Bedtime routines,
Yes.
any of those typical things that can, like still having school times and activity times and social times where help a kid get on a Zoom platform and have a conversation with their classmates. If you can connect with other parents and make that happen, that's really useful. And of course, teens do that all on their own. So, and activity's big. Also having kids getting out and being active, getting sunlight, the combination of the vitamin D from sunlight and calcium so that we can absorb that vitamin D are natural antidepressants. So
I didn't know that.
So that's a good thing too. So if you take some kind of calcium supplement or just have it in your food, it helps you absorb the vitamin D better into your system. So that's also a good thing.
I have been seeing more families outside enjoying themselves, walking. We have a lot of resources at the library. Movement is very important. You can check out a book on doing yoga with your kids, or watch some of our story times that incorporate movement. And I'm very happy to hear that it is a natural antidepressant, as you said, the combination of calcium and vitamin D. What are some other things that families can either do together, or what can kids do, for themselves? And do older kids face things a little bit differently? Let's say a teenager versus a middle schooler versus a grade schooler.
Yeah. So teens definitely. I think this is a very hard time for teens in particular. Social connectedness is so important, and it's part of their fabric when you're a teenager. So to take all of that away, to take their sports away, all their pro-social activities away that were a big part of their lives, like debate, right? That's gone. It would, no matter what it was that you did, but a lot of kids are involved, and a lot of teens are involved in a lot of activities. And yet, interestingly, a lot of our essential jobs that are happening currently in our market are things that teenagers hold as jobs too. So like our drive-through restaurants and our pizza delivery jobs and our grocery store clerks. So like you're telling them, go to work and expose yourself there, yet you need to stay home then when you're done with your job. It's a really hard message as an adult to be able to send to them and help them justify. So even using teenagers are bright, right? So use some of those things that are out in the internet that show like, this is how things spread. So you have contact with one person, they have contact with 5 more. And, I think they can integrate that knowledge about what does this mean, and how is it important that I also take the role to be able to keep people safe, but also giving them the space. So I know, like, once upon a time I would have told you watch kids screen time and don't have them on the screen so much, but now I'm like, it's okay, let it be free, right? So I think that's also hard for parents too, those kind of mixed messages from our world of just a few weeks ago to where we're at today, is that we do have to look at our household rules differently currently as well, to be able to create space for teens to feel like they still have some freedom and control of their environment, because that's really where things go badly for teenagers, is when they feel like they have no control. So creating spaces for them to feel that. And then also spaces to talk about emotions, I think at all ages. So how do you help people boil down what it is that they're feeling and thinking? And so like they'll say, yeah, I feel trapped. Well, you feel what does the feeling behind feeling trapped? So when you feel trapped, you can't go do the things that you want to do. Missing the things that you want to do makes you feel anxious, makes you feel depressed. Well, you can do something about anxiety and depression, but it's hard to do something about feeling trapped.
Especially when you are physically trapped.
Literally.
In your house, literally. Yeah, we all are, and we should be. You need to stay home and stay safe, save lives. So,
right.
Well, thank you very much, Bernie. I hope that everybody stays safe. I hope that you all take this time to stay in touch with your families and talk to your children about what's going on and reassure them that they have a safe place to discuss their feelings. And in closing, Bernie, how can people reach out to FSA if they need more help?
Right. We are still operating in our typical normal hours, although mostly remotely. So please give us a call. Our number is 847-695-3680. You can also find all of our stuff through our website, which is fsaelgin.org. So please reach out. It's being answered by our staff from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And then we're there on Fridays from 8 to 5 and Saturdays from 8 to 4. So please reach out if you do need some assistance. And if we're not the right place, we'll get you linked to the right place.
That's wonderful. You've been around for almost 90 years, so you're still here offering help when it's needed. Thank you very much, and we hope that everybody has a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Stay safe, everybody.
So, kids, the first thing that we're going to do is read a really fun book. And this is called Say Hello Like This. And look at, who are those? They're little chicks. How do little chicks say hello? Cheep, cheep. And this is by Mary Murphy. All right. A dog hello is licky and loud. How does a doggy say hello? Like this. Bow, wow, wow. Okay, that dog looks really silly. How does a cat say hello? Well, a cat hello is prissy and proud. Like this. Purr, purr, meow, meow, meow. So a cat's hello is much quieter, isn't it? A frog hello is jumpy and croaky. Croak, croak. Like this. Ribbit, ribbit, croak, croak. Frogs jump, don't they? On lily pads in the pond. A chicken hello is flappy and clucky. Cluck, 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 cluck. Like this. Cluck, 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 cluck. And look at the little ones. They say cheep, 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 cheep. Looks like this one is just hatching right now. A beetle hello is tiny and tappy. Like this. Tip, tap, tip, tap, tip, tap, tip, tap. A donkey hello is silly and happy. Does anyone know what a donkey says, friends? What does a donkey say? Hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw. Oh, what a noise. What a hullabaloo. There's just one hello missing. Let's hear it from you. Ready? Hello! Hi, friends. It's so good to see you today. And look at all of our friends here today. They say hello all different kinds of ways. And guess what, friends? all of us, just like the animals, all of us say things different ways, and all of us feel things different ways. And that's okay. So grown-ups, I wanted to talk a little bit about play and how play is really important right now while you're at home. So play is more than just puppets and songs and singing and silliness. Play is actually restorative. So it's a child's natural response to stress. That's how they're working through processing their emotions. It is how they find control and kind of build their own narrative and help them solve problems. So finding ways to play at home is super important for right now. So I wanted to give you a couple of ideas about how to play. One is getting out blocks. So that can be cardboard, any blocks that you have, stuffed animals, blankets. You could build a fort. And then what's wonderful about that is when the blocks are built and they fall, that's a way to get out if there's anger, if there's other emotions, sadness. It's a way to start over and try again. And then if you build it differently, maybe it won't fall. So that's a great way. Another way is puppets or stuffed animals. So if you have anything around your house, I brought out my rabbit today. Okay, so here's Mr. Rabbit. Sometimes it's kind of hard to talk about feelings. It's for kids to talk about feelings with grown-ups or with other people, but talking to an animal or a little stuffed animal, it doesn't seem so intimidating. So I'll kind of demonstrate a little bit about what that's like, okay? So, Mr. Rabbit, how are you feeling today? Oh, are you feeling sad? Oh, how come you're feeling sad? Do you want to tell me about it? Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, he told me that he's sad that he can't visit his grandma this week. That makes sense to me, yes, and that's okay. It's okay to be sad. Yeah, I know that your grandma's someone that's really, really important to you. But you know what? In a while, we will be able to see her again. Yeah, we will. So I know it's hard to wait. And that can make Miss Katie angry too, right? Have you ever been angry? Yeah, I'm angry. I want to go outside. I want to go to the grocery store and I'd like to go visit people and go to the library. That's not fair, right? Yeah, so it's also okay to be angry. It's okay to be silly. You can tell a joke to Mr. Rabbit. You can sing together. You can talk about all kinds of things if you bring out a little puppet and ask questions, open-ended questions, and there's no right answers and it doesn't have to be perfect. Another way is to ask your child to help. Kids love, it helps them bring control if they can find something to do, if that's to clean with you, to do laundry, to set the table, anything that they can feel like, okay, I'm part of this house, I'm part of this family, and so I'm going to read a book now for kids. This is called I Can Help. Grown-ups, this is a great way. This book has great ideas for how you can get your little one to help. It's about a little duck. See, there's the ducky. Okay. Uh-oh. I'm lost. Well, Monkey says, I can help. Look, Monkey was way up high and pointed to where the duck was. Thank you, Monkey. Uh-oh, I'm falling. Oh, well, look at Giraffe. Giraffe says, I can help. Thank you, Giraffe. He has a tall neck, doesn't he? Uh-oh. Giraffe can't reach. Well, who do you think might be able to reach up there? I can help. Okay. Yes, Gorilla can help. Thank you, Gorilla. Gorilla's really strong, so he can put all of his weight onto the tree. Uh-oh, says Gorilla, I have a splinter. Oh, well, who's that? Miss Birdie says, I can help. She's like a tweezers, isn't she? Oh, well, thank you, Sunshine. Oh, Sunshine the bird is really tired. Uh-oh. Oh, who can help? Elephant can help. Thank you, Elephant. So Miss Elephant brought Miss Sunshine Bird into her nest. Uh-oh, I'm hot and I'm thirsty, said Elephant. Who's that? It's Ducky. I can help, she says. Follow me. They go walking and walking and walking. And look, thank you, Duck. So Duck brought Elephant all the way back to the water. You're welcome. Uh-oh, I'm lost again. But everybody says we can help. Yay! What a fun story. So kids, what are some ways that you think you can help? I think you can use your skills and your talents to help. Maybe art might be something that you like to do. So you could do a drawing. Or maybe you have a pet and you want to spend some time petting your doggie. That's a great way to help too. Maybe you have a sibling and you and your sister or brother could play together. That's another way to help. So you as a family can brainstorm together how each person can help during hard times. Our next thing is an idea for something that you can do together as a family. And this is called random acts of kindness. So you've probably heard of this before. Well, all I did is I made a little sheet of paper with let's do a random act of kindness. So all you'd need was like a slip of paper. It could be an index card. You can just write your little random act of kindness. It can be very simple things like saying thank you to someone, paying someone a compliment. That's a great idea. And so even when you're all alone or at home, you can think of things to be thankful for and little random acts of kindness for other people. And it's really fun to make the cards. You can color them, you can do a drawing, you can draw your family, all kinds of fun things. Okay, so that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining us for your library at home.